Hello again, my friends. Welcome to I Hear Good Things, the podcast, a podcast about music. I'm Ben. I fell out of bed this morning. When was the last time you did that? Lucky I wasn't killed at my age. I was dreaming about rolling down a slide and woke up on the floor. Awful. Anyway, it's 27 degrees today. A bit hot, but I did manage to do a little bit of gardening. I went out the front to do some pruning, and my neighbour was constructing a trampoline. He pointed out that he trimmed my council strip for me, which was a bit awkward because I don't know what to do in return for that. I can't do his council strip because it's way bigger than mine, and he does a really good job, and I would do a bad job. Do I get him a cake? Actually, it strikes me this is the perfect question to ask a fully qualified carpenter. I'll see if I can get a hold of him. All right. Thanks, Chief, for taking my call at this late hour. I suddenly had a question that I thought you could help me with. So I've got a very small council strip. My neighbour has a very big council strip. And the other day he trimmed my council strip for me. And he's really good at it. He does the edges really nicely. He's got the leaf blower. He takes care of all the clippings and stuff.
From Timu?
Yep, that's right, Timu.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a fan of the podcast. So my question is, so he's pointed that out to me that he's trimmed my strip for me, and I don't know what to do in return. I can't do his because it's too big a gesture because his is much bigger, and also I'm really bad at it, so he'll probably come along and do it again anyway. So what do I do in this situation?
Yeah. Can you take his bins out? No. Is he next door? No.
Can
you just have a go at doing his and have a bit of a shocker, and you're like, yeah, it's cool, I'll take it from here, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Because he's always sort of giving me tips because I do things badly. So he sort of puts his head over the fence and says, you can do this. Like today he was telling me, you can spray weeds with weed killer. Okay.
Okay. What can you do to repay him? Not sure, mate. I'm not sure about that one.
Cool. Oh, well, thanks for coming on, Chief.
Yeah, no worries. It's been a big help here. Yeah, maybe help him out with the bin. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because what I did a couple of years ago, I decided I'll take the bins out for the people on the other side, and then hopefully in return when they're trimming their very big council strip, they'll trim my little council strip, and it worked. They started doing my strip. I'd take their bins in, but this is the guy on the other side.
Okay.
His bins are harder to take in because he's got like a gate.
Oh, yeah, you can't. You don't have just access to it. All right. Yeah, well, that's out. You can't just break in and take his bins out.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. I don't recommend breaking into his house.
Yeah, okay. Like, should I get him a cake?
Should you get him a cake? Well, I don't know. I don't know how well you know this guy.
Not that well, but we do talk about gardening.
Yeah, maybe just ask him.
Okay. Do you want a cake?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief.
No worries. All right. See you, mate.
Catch ya. All right, let's get into some new releases. I've well and truly lost control of the year. I've got like 240 albums in my queue to listen to, but it's been a bumper 2 weeks. If you haven't worked it out, this comes out every 2 weeks. So as always, there'll be a playlist in the show notes for you to check out the songs, and we'll start with Australia. The Enthusiast is a band I've just discovered. Their release is called Funny Things. They're a trio from Marrickville, and it's the kind of Australian music I find very comforting, very nostalgic. Listening to this kind of thing is the closest I come to feeling patriotic. A lot of it's pretty low-key rock, but some good yelling on the first track. That's what got me in. And then the second track, I was just in heaven in Australia. They have a show coming up on 3rd of April in Chippendale. I'll put a link to that in the notes as well. I'll be there. Next up, WAAX, Angel's Mess. This is a band who released one of the great Australian albums. Their debut must be getting close to 10 years ago. A beloved band in Australia, I would say, but there was some kind of unpleasantness a few years ago and they split up. But they've come back, and this is great Australian pop punk. It gets very angry in the middle, and then she sings about when the anger is over, the sad begins. And there's some more wistful tracks toward the end, including Don't Want to Die in the Suburbs, which makes me think of my friend Ninja, who was so afraid of that she did the extreme version and moved to Tokyo. This is not the kind of thing I usually listen to, but I have to shout out Devora. She has put out her EP Volume 2, If You Don't Laugh, You'll Cry. This is a star in the making, I feel. She's also from Sydney, has the huge personality, a mix of pop and hip-hop. It's fun. Gum is the solo project of Jay Watson, also of Pond and Tame Impala. His album is called Blue Gum Way. This is not unlike Tame Impala, but for the most part it's more pleasing to my ears. I don't like Tame Impala particularly. This is more low-key and groovy. The Stamps are a folk pop trio from Perth I've only just heard about from a couple of friends going to their gig, actually. They've released a covers EP. Very cool covers of Iggy Pop, Stone Roses, Nirvana, Cigarettes After Sex, and The Velvet Underground. These are really fun covers. The EP is called She Bangs the Drums, the Stone Roses song. Finally, from Australia, Asteroid Ecosystem, Sounds Have Dreams. This is a group put together by Alistair Spence, who's a pianist and composer, drummer Toby Hall, Lloyd Swanton of the Necks, and Ed Cooper, famous for being a founding member of the Saints and Laughing Clowns. Bit of an Australian supergroup. This is a kind of wild experimental jazz. Chaotic piano is my love language, and there's plenty of that, particularly on Sun Spiral. I really enjoyed this. Heading overseas, Heavensouls, West Side Trapped is the album. This is a guy from Nigeria, originally living in Texas. He goes by various names, including DJ Poo Poo Bear, apparently. He's also part of a duo called The Side Pieces, and I'll attach in the show notes an interview with these guys. These are really interesting guys, and they're part of quite a niche scene that I think you'll find really interesting if you want to check out that interview. There's a lot of African rhythms and vocals on this. There's elements of hip-hop. There's guitar heroics, bit of a collage, soundscape territory. Really cool. I was stopped in my tracks. Or actually, I was stopped at the tracks. I was listening to this, waiting for the train. Very Nice Person have released an album called Trampoline. This is electro-pop, often drumless. OK Lou might be a point of comparison, but this is not the warm sound bath of OK Lou. This is the harsher sound. This is another one that just... I sent this to Jack with the message, wow, ? Morgan Nagler is a American singer, part of a duo called Whisper Town, and a bit of an actor as well. This is her first solo release. It's a sort of folk country sound, lots of great songs. The guitar on the first song got me very excited for some reason. Really nice folk songs. The album's called I've Got Nothing to Lose and I'm Losing It. Geizan are a Japanese rock band originally from Osaka. This is one of the great horrible voices. The singer's called Mojito the People, and if you can handle this voice, I find it amazing. They've been around since 2009. I found them a couple of years ago. Love this band. Love a weird little voice. The album is called I Know How Now. Blessing Jolie is another Nigerian American. Starts off a bit folk rock, a lot of vocal similarities to Tracy Chapman, little flourishes she does in her voice. But then there's also a straight up new metal song, Regular Smugular Girl, which I'll put on the playlist. She has a song called Software Developer, where she says she could have been one hell of a software developer if I could ever beat this little melody of writing melodies. Well, I can tell you, Blessing Jolie, it is possible. I've ended up a software developer and would rather be writing melodies. Oh well, what can you do? And finally, Water Baby, her album Memory Be a Blade. This is just beautiful acoustic pop from Sweden. This is her debut album. She's had one EP before. Every song is so nice. All right, there's no watch today because we have a special guest, which I'll introduce in a moment. But I did watch the Manosphere documentary by Louis Theroux. Recommended viewing. I have a lot of thoughts. I might write something about it on the newsletter. And I'm hoping to have a special guest for Watch next week and talk about this doco. But for now, Richard Lindesay had a viral hit a few years ago with Recorder in the Corner that's changed his life. I went to speak with him about that journey. Unfortunately, my friends, there was a series of debacles sound-wise. They tell you can be anything as a kid, but being a podcaster is hard. So unfortunately, the sound quality is sad. Something happened to Richard's mic. Somehow, I had to cut some things out because you couldn't hear him at all. I'm going to publish the full interview on my Substack. But I think it's a lovely interview with a lovely man. So here it is. Richard Lindesay, thank you very much for joining me, or me joining you. Thanks for having me in your house. Your lovely abode. It's good to see your face. I think it's been about 10 years. You haven't changed a bit. So you had a viral moment a few years ago that changed your life. And so I wanted to talk through that experience with you, how you dealt with it at the time, and sort of I imagine it's been very strange for you along the way. But I think it'd be very interesting for people to hear what it's like to go through that. So let's start right at the beginning with Little Richard. Did you ever get called Little Richard as a?
I did actually, because my granddad was Richard.
Nice. And did the music of Little Richard come into your life at that point? No.
No, I wasn't familiar with him until much later.
So what was your relationship with music when you were a kid? Were you listening to like kids' records or regular person records?
The first music I really remember listening to was Cat Stevens, early Cat Stevens album, and Alice Cooper. So probably you're not really kids, I guess. The usual stuff that you hear around TV as well, like The Muppet Show. I liked what Jim Henson wrote.
Yeah.
I still do. But yeah, mostly it was a bit of an eclectic mix. And then followed not that long after by US gangster rap.
Which is obviously an influence on your music. I noted that in one of the songs, actually. I'll come back to it later. So did you write songs at all when you were young?
I wasn't really told to. And I guess when I first started music, I got given a recorder because I was a bit of a disruptive kid and it was to keep me busy. And music teachers don't really tell you to write music. They teach you to play. I had a really great music teacher who was really good, but yeah, you just generally don't get told to. So I kind of did muck around with it. Like I kind of just made little songs about things around me, but I never shared them.
Yeah, I guess it was when we were all growing up, it wasn't as common to share things that you made with everyone, I guess.
Yeah, true. Nor did you necessarily have a platform.
Yeah, interesting. So when did you pick up the recorder?
Originally, I picked it up when I was 6 years old and played it for a couple of years and then was told I should move on to playing the flute, which is a typical thing because recorders aren't generally, by a lot of people, aren't really considered a real instrument, which I mean, I detest now. Then played the flute for a few years, then ditched it all. So it was about 5 or 6 years. So I did grades, I did exams, I did music theory exams and things too during that time, which I guess was my founding.
Yeah. Okay, so at some point you decided to start stand-up comedy. So what led you to that?
I'd always thought it might be something interesting to do, and I was doing a course on linguistics, so on analysing language. And one of the things which was a project on that course was to analyse the language of somebody, codify it, so basically figure out how it's done, then give it a go. And the person that I chose was Jimmy Carr, a comedian who wrote one-liner jokes.
Yeah.
And so I basically made a code of how he did all his jokes, wrote down all the joke patterns he used by listening to a few of the specials, and then applied those joke patterns and wrote some of my own jokes. And yeah, when I read them out loud, I thought, yeah, they sound like jokes. So we did a real terrible stand-up comedy course, and then after that, yes, gave it a go, started, and people took to it. So I kept going.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember you had a very sort of analytical approach. I remember you had a Like lots of mind maps and diagramming things out and that sort of thing.
Yeah, still do. You do it on music too.
Yeah, right. Okay. I wondered about that. Um, so you did stand up for quite a number of years, right?
Yeah, I've just hit my 13th anniversary of stand up.
Yeah, wow. So when did you begin to introduce music to it?
I started stand up in Australia and I did one-liner jokes, which not many people do in Australia. Then I moved to the UK and everybody does. So people do in the UK. And so all of a sudden, my kind of little bit of uniqueness that I had from that had gone. And I eventually figured that out and realized I need to add something else to stand out because, there's so many comedians over there and you kind of need something for people to hang on to. So one day I thought, well, what if I could bring the flute on the stage and do comedy with the flute? Then I thought, of course you can't, because you can't talk and play the flute at the same time. And I thought, well, can you? And I thought, well, I guess what I'll do is I'll bring the flute with me and bring it on stage. Then I have to find something. Then I did. And recorder just came as part of that as well. Recorder was added on a little bit later.
Had you touched them since you were a kid?
A little. But it was funny, actually, coming back to playing flute and recorder as an adult, I was a lot better than I ever was.
Right.
It was strange. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe because I pay attention to music differently, lung development or something. Yeah, I was quite surprised. It's like, well, I can play this okay.
Yeah, right. Was it the original, like the one they give you at school, like the plastic sort of
We didn't
recorder?
actually have recorders in my school.
Oh, that's right, because you had private lessons.
Yeah. And yes, it was a cheap plastic recorder, but a good brand. So if you get a good brand recorder, then even the cheapest plastic ones are good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, my daughter learned the recorder, and then they progress you into the larger and larger recorders. So she started doing the tenor. And then have you seen? I went to the opera house. They get like 300 kids in the opera house to play recorder all together.
And some of my fans have told me that they're on that. Yeah.
Right. But they have these massive recorders that are like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a wall. Like it's it's taller than a human person. Have you ever seen these things?
I think it's a bass or a contrabass, and
Yeah, contrabass.
thing that comes down from the top that goes down into your mouth.
Yeah,
For you to, and yeah, they're very, very deep.
yeah. It's it's one of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life. But
Yeah, the largest one I use is tenor because it's transportable. I mean, the big, huge ones, it's not really much you can do with it in my kind of world of music.
yeah, you need a truck, essentially. So you started doing social media, I guess, during the pre-flute era?
I did a little. Like in the early days, I'd post a little bit of my stand-up on YouTube. But, crossing mediums like that generally doesn't work so well unless it's somebody you want to watch. And then over the years, I've started creating some little things with my friend Scotty Bulbul. So we did some little videos and things. I guess really I got more into it when COVID happened and the lockdowns happened, though, because the stand-up comedy clubs all closed and I wanted to do something.
Yeah, and everyone started a podcast and
Yeah, TikTok started.
Yeah.
That time started getting more popular at that time too.
So your video that absolutely took off was Recorder in the Corner. Was that the first song that you put out?
It was one of the first ones. I guess it was one of the first ones. It was the first one where I kind of just did something unapologetically, just did something like I would ordinarily make up songs when I'm walking around the house.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if everybody does this or if it's just me, getting an orange out the fridge and like getting an orange, chopping it up and putting it in a dish. Just that kind of silly stuff, which I'd always done and my mum had always done, which is probably where I got it from. But yes, the first one where I just thought I have about 100 videos in advance kind of listed down, like the idea of what I might do.
Wow, 100.
And I had one which said, play recorder in a corner because it rhymes. And so I just put a camera up in the corner of my room, just put a camera up pressed record, and then started thinking about what rhymes with recorder.
Okay, so it was quite, what's the word? Off the cuff.
It was indeed, yeah. I recorded probably about 10 different verses, and then afterwards looked through it and thought, which of them are best? And one of the most popular verses is one that I kind of thought I wasn't going to put in. I almost got rid of. Yeah, so then edited it down, very basic beat behind it.
I wanted to talk about the beat actually, because that was, so you added the beat yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that was the very first thing that struck me about the song was how off kilter the kind of it's like a hi-hat and a snare sort of rhythm. It gave it this kind of, yeah, just really off kilter quality that to me adds to the charm. Is charm the word? It adds to the effect perhaps of the song.
We had GarageBand, and I initially just loaded up a preset and tinkered with it a little bit.
Right.
I knew nothing about drums
Yeah.
at the time. I've learned a bit more since. I think most of it sounds off kilter because I actually recorded the vocals without a metronome.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So it was basically guessing the rhythm. So I was a little off rhythm naturally.
Yeah.
Doing that. Since then, I've started using a visual metronome.
Yeah.
Flashing lights so I can get it on.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense as well. So you solved the problem in this song of how to do comedy and play the recorder, in that you switch between singing and recorder. So you posted this video, and how quickly did this start to blow up?
Within a day, it had got to about 500,000 views, which was 500,000 more than usual.
Yep.
And like I've made plenty of videos since that have 500,000 views, but this one behaved differently. And what happened is it just got a ton more sharing,
Right.
than other things, and it had a lot more people doing dances or kind of miming along to it than any other one.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. So is it teenagers? Who's doing the dance along?
It was a mixture. So at the time, it was groups of teenagers, groups of adults, often in workplaces. So it was people at a building site. I had kickboxers in Eastern Europe, Eastern European kickboxers, tennis players, yeah. Sometimes kids. I mean, parents don't really let their kids post so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes kids.
So it was a global phenomenon.
I've been told afterwards too that in the years since, it's become a little bit part of culture, culture.
Yeah, well, when I first saw the video, because I think you and I we were following each other on TikTok. I have about 18. I think we both had about 18 followers at this stage. And I saw the video, and I showed my kids, like, oh, I know this guy, and they said, oh yeah, we know this from the bus. Like, oh, okay. So what happened immediately? Did it change your life immediately? Did you start getting loads of, obviously lots of notifications, but did you get messages from?
Yeah, I got a ton of messages from people all around the place, and it was at a time where I was just finishing a contract in my day job. So I thought, there's quite a lot going on here at the moment. I've got a bit of 15 seconds of people looking, so I'm going to put all of my effort into keeping this going. Yeah. So then I released this song on Spotify. I did a re-recording of the vocals, released the song on Spotify and all the different streaming platforms, which it very quickly got to millions of streams on Spotify, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then started working on more. Started to put merchandise out for it. I got maybe a little bit more than you'd usually do at that kind of stage, but I thought, you know what, I'm not being noticed, I might as well try as much as I can.
Yeah, well, I think that's, I've always thought that's one of your strengths, is that if something happens to you, you just kind of go with it, like, and see what happens.
Someone challenged me, someone said to me that the vast majority of people have a viral hit as their first things. That's all they ever have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to challenge that.
Yeah. Interesting. So actually, one little detail I wanted to ask you about, because I think from memory, when you put it on Spotify, the video got removed from your TikTok. Sorry, the sound got removed from your TikTok. Was that right?
That was because I didn't really know what I was doing when it came to music copyright.
Mm.
So what happens is when you distribute to Spotify and anywhere else, one of the options is also to distribute to TikTok.
Right.
And so TikTok had my song distributed to them. It hadn't tied it to me.
Yeah.
So usually that's okay if you use under a minute. So if you use under a minute of the song, it's fine. But if you use over a minute, then it mutes the track.
Mm.
Basically because of copyright reasons, because of legal reasons. And so my original video that I posted no longer had audio on it because of what I did. So I thought, oh, well, maybe this is all over. So I posted it again. It happened again. But basically what I did is I changed it from 100 beats a minute to 105, and it took a little bit off, so it was under a minute.
Okay. Yeah. So you're never able to restore the original. You just had to there's no like right of appeal to that sort of thing? Or?
It isn't, because the blanket license they have is just for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
It's still up there, just muted.
So, so I know that, as we talked about, you're someone who does a lot of research and thinks through things really carefully with stand-up and everything. Did you start to think about like kids' music, and did you like research things related to kids' entertainment or anything like that?
There's a weird thing happened. It's that when I made that original song, I was just being myself and making something that I like.
Mm.
And as soon as I started trying to make something that they would like, it didn't work.
Mm.
And everything that worked, and everything since, has been stuff that I've liked.
Yeah.
So I had a good hard think about this and talk to others about it too, and about social media in general, and people's tastes in general. And people like things that are authentic, particularly on social media, short form social media. And I guess that was me being quite authentic, real. So yes, I learned to basically not think about it, but just make what I like. Because I guess I'm not that unique. Obviously, my taste is something that other people like too.
Mm.
So if I'm my target audience, that makes it quite easy.
Yeah, no, I really relate to that as well. Like whenever I start doing something creative, and people respond to it, I think, oh, I need to do more in that vein. I think about, how do other people do this, and I start to immediately try and be something. Whereas if I just do what, even if I think it's stupid, like just do what comes naturally, that's always going to be better.
I think so. And particularly because you want fans to like you.
Yeah.
Not that musical thing. Like you can probably think of a ton of musicians who've changed their style a lot, they're still band.
Mm. Yeah.
And if you have fans that like a single song, then probably they're just going to like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was the peak, but one of the peaks was going on Britain's Got Talent. They called you, is that right? Yeah. So they've got their finger on the pulse of things that are going viral. And
the actual judges didn't pay them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the surprising thing about the video, which is available on YouTube. I'll leave a link to it. But you come out there and the audience knows who you are. Like they're screaming, Richard, Richard. The judges are completely confused. Like they don't understand what's going on.
It's cut quite a lot, and the reaction was louder and longer.
Mm.
It's quite a while before we got started.
Yeah.
Talking. But yeah, they certainly did look confused.
Yeah. They just looking around themselves going, what is going on? So how did that go for you? I don't know how much you're allowed to say about things, but what's the process of going on that show?
Yeah, put you in a room, you wait around for several hours, do several interviews with you, go out and do a sound check and a bit of a test run, during which my favourite bit of it is that the judges' seats are all set up. And my favourite thing, Simon had a cushion. Yeah, so then I went out and did the performance, and I actually had a really bad throat infection at the time, really very poor, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to go on, and I was contacting my singing teacher. She gave me some tips to get through it, but I was almost coughing throughout the whole thing, and my voice sounds rather indifferent. But yeah, I persevered. Yeah, did the song, which is about 3 months long, but it got cut down quite a lot. And yet, the audience really liked it.
Yeah.
And yeah, 3 of the judges had voted no.
Yeah.
The audience turned 2 of them rap.
Mm.
So including Simon Cowell. So he was bewildered. He'd said no. It's quite well known he hates recorders as well.
Oh, right.
Just, I think, one gives something to get recorded players. He said the audience was just bewildered. It's just jeering for ages.
Yeah.
Turns around and goes, well, they all seem to like it, so I'm going to change my vote to yes. So yeah, I ended up getting 3 yes votes.
Do they call you about, have you got through to the next round? So
I did. But how it works is the judges vote through any kind of amount that they think is right. So they're not thinking about the culling process or who's going to be in the next round. They just vote through.
Yeah.
Then the producers then have another round of checks. Point they ask you to send them ideas of what you're going to do next.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't choose me to go through the next round.
Yeah.
Funny though, is that the actual video that they put on TikTok is still one of their top 10 videos.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I always wonder because so many of the acts on there seem like that must be the only thing you can do. Like, what do they do in the final rounds? Like, but I also never even see videos of the final rounds. It's always the initial. So I wonder, yeah, do they develop an idea with someone if they don't have an idea?
No, they just ask.
Okay.
Ask for bidding.
Yeah.
I mean, initially they guess they vet people who haven't got more than one idea for actually going on it.
Yeah.
But at that point, I'd released about 6 or 7 songs.
Stuff ready to go. Let's talk about the music. You've mentioned in the past symphonic metal is something you enjoy. And I can see that sort of coming through on songs like Legend of Steve. You've created some sort of lore around some characters like Steve?
I have. So Steve is the flute. And Steve is a little bit dodgy. And basically, there's a couple of Steve songs so far. I'm planning on making a 3rd one to complete the trilogy. But the first one, he's wandering along and there's a village and there's a dragon attacking the village and he defeats the dragon, becomes the king. The second one is his reign as the king. It's just that everybody loves him.
So this is conceptually a step up from Recorder in the Corner.
The first song, The Legend of Steve, I actually based it upon my favourite thing that I used to play as a kid, which was Greensleeves. And so I used the song Greensleeves and made basically it's kind of a bit of a symphonic kind of metal version of that. I'm quite proud I wrote a recorder solo which extends Greensleeves but stays sympathetic to the song.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is quite funny actually. I've had since then several people around the world saying, "Oh my goodness, my local ice cream truck plays The Legend of Steve."
That's you're more popular than Greensleeves. That's an achievement. The G-Funk influence, I think, is coming through in Crunchy Water. A little bit of almost a rap, perhaps.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I guess also the off the bass rhythm is the bass and the bass is the rhythm.
Yep.
We heard it as a kid, and making the bass more like the melody is the thing that I focused on, which was a little bit like G-Funk can do.
Yeah. Okay. That's from Regulate, isn't it? Yeah, one of the greatest songs of all time.
The influence as well was going from talking to singing. So that's something on Regulate, they kind of do break from talking to singing.
Yep.
Well, others as well. And the music, the melody kind of weaves between the vocals and the music too.
Mm.
So that's something always done is I've always written the whole melody and decided which bits are singing, which bits are going to be music.
What's your process for writing a song? Do you have lots of ideas? Obviously, you've written down. Do you sort of pick an idea and think, okay, I'm going to try this today?
Yes. Yeah, big idea. And then give it a go. I come up with vocals and lyrics generally first.
Mhm.
Then while I'm doing that, the melody and rhythm kind of comes from fitting it in. Then basically put down bass guitar behind it.
Mhm.
I usually put it in the gaps. Yeah, so kind of syncopated kind of bass rhythm. And each time I try to do something a little bit new. Like I try to do a little something to improve each time.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's obviously, the progression from Recorder in the Corner to Legend of Steve, but you do see your abilities in every aspect getting better as you go on. I think I thought your singing on Lovely Morning was quite lovely.
I was wrote a song that sounded like maybe Jim Henson could have written it. And it's like bongos, which is a bit influenced by that. If I could write something that sounds anywhere even close to something I think he would have written, then that would be amazing.
Mm.
I felt like it did, and then I had people come to me and say, this sounds like something from Jim Henson.
Yeah.
But, well, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's nice and sunny. So what's life like now for you post fame? You're doing this full time now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my time is divided between doing more social media videos. So some of them are songs, some of them are like little short snippets with a bit of comedy. So I put a bit more comedy into it. Recording, releasing music, doing shows.
Do you still do straight comedy without the flutes?
I do. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, the audience at the place care. It seems that there's quite a divide. It's quite uncommon that someone who comes to a comedy show knows who I am. So in a way, it's nice. It's quite nice because they don't know who I am. So one of the things I like about comedy is talking to an audience who don't know who you are and getting them to laugh. That's quite a journey for that to happen with a stranger on stage.
Yeah, it's very different to turning up to your own show with all the fans from your comedy.
And when I turn up tomorrow, it's just I could do anything. I think
Yeah.
it's just like I try really hard to make it good. But so I walked out on stage and 300 whatever teens and kids and adults screaming. It's like, this is easy.
What's that feeling like?
At first, it was kind of confusion because when you're at home doing something and it's getting lots of views and a lot of interest, it doesn't feel quite as real as 300 people in a room.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it felt strange and it did feel a little bit confusing. Good, but a bit strange and confusing. Even more was meet and greets afterwards, after the show, which 95% of people stayed behind.
Yeah, well.
And seeing a big room full of people, at first it can be, what's going on here? This doesn't seem right. I guess maybe because I didn't go through the trenches, like a lot of musicians do, of being a small band and then getting a bit of recognition and something. I went straight from like intern to CEO kind of in my business, music business. Guess I wasn't prepared in that way.
Yeah, that's interesting because it happens to, like, particularly during pandemic years, a lot of people started making music at home and then they get popular sort of online and then they have to take the show out on the road and they have no idea how to play to an audience and no idea how to be a band with other musicians, and it takes them quite a while to adjust and actually do something worth doing to an audience of that size.
Often a touring company will sign on a social media person who doesn't do music just to do a live show as well, and it's a similar thing. It's a very different thing being in front of an audience. Thankfully, having the 10 years of stand-up, having performed music a lot as a kid, I didn't have that, but I could understand why it could happen for sure.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Do you like talking to people after the shows? And you sort of message people you reply to people who message you other ways as well?
I do. I always do. Always reply to people who make comments and message me. Later on, I went to a TikTok creator event And I was told by TikTok Australia at the time that I am the person who has mostly engages with the audience in the whole country.
Ah, that's
I
nice.
didn't know, I just thought everyone did.
Yeah.
Surely it helps.
Yeah, that's really nice, actually. What do you like when you get recognized on the street?
It took a while to get used to it because it might sound strange, but I don't feel like I'm the wretched person who's the character.
Yeah.
And these things that they don't really talk about, which happens to a lot of people who have some public recognition, is even at one point when I was looking in the mirror, it felt like that wasn't me. It felt like I was looking at that character. And yeah, so it was quite strange in that way. I kept forgetting that I was Richard and forgetting that I do this. And then people came up to me and I was kind of like a bit of a job, a surprise. But now it happens all the time. I'm quite used to it.
Yeah, okay. Have you noticed any imitators of?
There's a couple of fans who are influenced.
Yeah.
Who do write little song, record it.
Yeah, nice.
Which is nice, and I give them all the encouragement.
I wondered if schools use your songs at all in recorder classes.
Get contacted by music teachers all the time around the world saying that they started using my songs because the kids demanded it.
Yeah.
But also, this was exciting, and this is something which I thought was very nice, is a lot of teachers saying that they've never had so many kids as interested in any music as they have since kids started seeing me.
Yeah, wow.
So they're saying, we never had anyone interested in recording, now we have. And sure, like normal, most of them quit. More of them went through.
Yeah.
So basically, from what I'm doing around that way and making more people actually get into music.
Yeah, because it's probably the only cool thing that's happened to the recorder in the last 30 years.
Yeah. And then the other nice surprise I got is from people with autism.
Right.
Is my songs resonate with people with autism. And puzzled over why. And I've talked to parents. The parents that come to me and said, some of them have said that that's the first thing that the kids reacted to. The first word they started talking along to.
Wow.
My name was their first word.
Oh my God.
And like when I went at my shows, it's kind of, you look around and you can tell that there are a fair few people who are autistic in the room too. And talking to some of the parents, and they said it's a combination of the predictability of it. So there's repetition, melody echoed and repeated in the bass line and the piano. So there's repetition. There's variety, not so much variety that breaks from the repetition.
Yeah, wow, that's very interesting.
They call it a stim. So something that people with autism, at least of a certain type, will tap along to themselves down and they find my music very calming. So it helps.
That's something you could not have anticipated when you first released Recorder in the Corner.
It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, in thinking about why your music's appealing to kids, I was sort of comparing it to like when I was a kid, kids' music was very, very safe, very controlled, like sort of play school records or nothing can really go wrong. And I think there's an aspect to your music where it's just a little bit demented, a little bit damaged. Like there's that probably appeals to kids of today.
It's a little bit. It's not naughty, but it's a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you talking to me about all this stuff. It's very interesting to hear about your journey. Do you have any advice for people who go viral in this way?
If it's something that you like doing, then lean into it, put all you can into it, all your time and effort. If it's something you just happen to do, everybody likes, but it's not really something you enjoy, then I say don't bother. Just think of it, that was a nice thing. Basically, if it's not something that you really enjoy, probably won't be able to put the effort in to keep it going.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything you'd like to plug?
I did a lot of shows in 2024 and a couple in 2025, and I'm planning on doing more. Looking on doing some shows around Australia, not quite sure when yet, richardrecorder.com site. There's a mailing list and you can get any notification of tickets.
Awesome.
Also, it's, you can see my social media links and releases of my new songs.
Excellent. I'll put that in the show notes as well. All right. Thanks, Richard, very much.